for holding, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the focus of today's webinar is to introduce you to the new fleet management dashboard in Kiosk View. And we're also going to do a live demo so you can actually see how it works in person and how it can be customized for exactly the way you want that information displayed, and we'll go over all the different features that we're offering as well. My name's Tony Vernetti. I'm a sales trainer at Enphase Energy. I C&I related topics, as well as basically anything that Enphase is offering, from software to new products like storage, etc. I come from a solar sales background before joining Enphase, and sold commercial projects starting in about 2014 for several years. So it's a pleasure for me to be here today to kind of facilitate this webinar and give you an overview of the new fleet management and Kiosk View. And then I'd also like to introduce Dorothy Wilkes. She's a customer success specialist at Enphase Energy, and it's her job to make sure that our customers have the proper training and understand how to make the best use of the many software features and tools that Enphase offers, from things like we're talking about today, like fleet management and Kiosk View, as well as some of our other software tools as well. So I'm going to pass the baton to Dorothy in about 5 minutes for the live demo. Thanks for being here with us, Dorothy.
Thank you.
All right, so a little overview of the agenda today. So as I mentioned, I'm going to give it a brief overview of what's new with fleet management and Kiosk View, and as well as a few other things like the System Owner app, or Enphase app. And Dorothy is going to do the live demo of both the fleet management dashboard and Kiosk View. And then we're going to open it up to a Q&A near the end. So let's start with the new fleet management dashboard. So just for those of you who have been logging into the installer portal, also called Enlighten Manager historically, and you haven't seen this dashboard, it's because it hasn't been rolled out to all customers yet. It's actually only been rolled out to about 1,000, and it's going to kind of be rolled out in phases over the next approximately 1 month. So by the middle of May, all Enphase account users will have access to this new fleet management dashboard. If you're interested in being or getting early access to the dashboard, just email us. We'll have an email on display at the end of the webinar under the resources page, where you can contact us and request early access. So the new fleet management dashboard offers a really nice graphical display of your solar fleet information, all in one centralized location. And it's accessed by logging into Enlighten Manager or Installer Portal, and then clicking on the Systems tab. And I'll just go through some of the features here before we go into the live demo here. So basically, it gives you a quick glance of the key metrics of your sites, and those are aggregated metrics across all of your sites, to be more specific. There's also a map view with fleet data in the map view that can be displayed on one of these tiles. And you can really customize the data that's going to be displayed in every one of these tiles, and Dorothy will show us exactly how you do that. But every single one can be customized. You can get very specific with what date ranges of information you want to display, what types of sites you want information displayed on. So the customizability is really one of the key features of the new dashboard. And a few other bullet points kind of touch on those features as well, like the ability to filter selected sites, which are going to be displayed. So if you only want to display sites that are PV only and versus PV with storage or something like that, you can really customize the view. And it makes it possible to really quickly drill down to specific sites from the dashboard and view either map view or list views and so forth. Moving on to the Kiosk View. So the Kiosk View is a feature that's used primarily by the asset owner. A lot of businesses and corporations of all sizes have sustainability agendas, and they usually include some form of renewable energy projects. The most popular and easy for companies to install are solar systems on their roof or their property, like carports, etc. And it's important for them because it's important to their customers that they know what they're doing in terms of their renewable or sustainability agendas. So the point of the Kiosk View is to give customers a simple and effective way of putting up a physical display in, say, the lobby of the building or some other high traffic area of what they're doing in terms of their sustainability efforts. And the view, as you can see, has the overall energy production of their fleet for the lifespan of the system, as well as shorter time periods, the environmental impact of the energy produced by the renewable energy system. It will show a map if it's a larger company that has multiple systems installed across the state or country or world. That map will display where those systems are. And then a production graph showing data from, you can customize the date range here. So you can show just very recent data. You can also show data over a long period of time, like many years. So again, very customizable and greatly improved compared to the previous iteration of Kiosk View. So actually with that, I'm gonna pause and hand control over to Dorothy so she can share her screen and walk us through a live demo so you can really see how these new, the Kiosk View and dashboard work. Okay.
Thank you. So let me go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah, so Dorothy, I'm not sure. Or do you have the ability to take control yourself?
No, it's not allowing me to.
Okay, I just made you the presenter, so you should be able to take control now.
Okay, let me know. You see my screen okay?
Yes, we can. Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. So I'll go ahead and start the demo here. So when you first log into your Enlighten Manager, you're going to go up to, like Tony said, you're going to go up to Systems, click on the Systems tab, and this is going to take you to the Fleet Manager and Kiosk View. So first we're going to go through the Fleet Manager. So Fleet Management basically provides our installers and partners and asset owners a view of their entire fleet and helps keep track of performance. So you have a view of your entire fleet based on different metrics. The first thing I'm going to show you is at the very top of the page, we have filters. And these are all set filters. You could click on status, system ID, system type, country, state, city, zip code. And you can also add additional filters if you'd like. For example, if you want to add consumption meters, you can add consumption meters. If you want to add production meters to see sites that have production meters, you can actually customize these filters. So right now we're showing a group of all sites, but let's say we want to show sites that are having, let's see here, go back up here. Say we want to show sites that are just having production issues. We can actually click apply up at the top, and you can view sites that are just having issues. So it's kind of customizable however you want to view it. But in the meantime, these are called what we call widgets. So these widgets, you can actually customize, you can add, delete these widgets. If you want to add different widgets or remove different widgets, actually these are all added. Let me find one that's not added here for you. You can add widgets, you can remove these widgets. So you can customize however you want to view these widgets. We have different, so you could actually have installer view, you could have a marketing, if marketing wants to see specific information. We have two different profiles set up. You can set up as many profiles as you want to view the different fleet management. For right now, let's go ahead and look at all sites, and this is a test site, so we just have test site set up. So for example, we have 19 sites. So we have fleet overview, estimated fleet capacity, fleet status. They'll show the overall of all the different fleets, all the different sites. We have system alerts, so it's currently showing on this demo that we have 28 alerts. All the activations from started all the way to final. Energy produced, and you can actually change this from monthly, daily, or yearly. whatever view you would like. Energy expected versus actual, and you can also change this from monthly, daily, and yearly. All the devices, you can change this year to date, lifetime, or month to date, or past 7 days. And just for example, let's go over to this fleet overview. Say we want to drill down and look at these microinverters that are not reporting. You can actually click on and set up and look at different columns. You can actually go in, let's go in here and say needs attention. This will take you directly to the Enphase portal. So basically the systems view you're currently used to, this will actually drill down into the Enphase portal and you can actually investigate the site and see what's going on with it. You can also change, if you want to change columns within each of these, you could actually add, like say you want to add system ID, you can actually view system ID. So you could customize within each of these widgets. So for installer example, most common, they'd want to see the status of the fleet, system alerts. We also have set up here marketing. So most common, like marketing, we want to see like total savings, energy expected versus actual. And you can actually change these also from daily, monthly, yearly. Environmental benefits, 229, the carbon offset, how many trees we've saved here. So you can actually also change these. So that's kind of the overall view of the fleet management. The next view we see is map view. So within the map view, it'll show a list of all of your systems. You can search within a certain mile radius. You can actually type an address here and drill down to a specific address. You could do frequency. You can actually choose monthly, daily, yearly, lifetime, up to 5,000 sites. And you can actually drill down to each of these sites. And you can see if like this one says meter issue. You can actually go in and drill down and go to the site within Enlighten Manager also from this map view. And basically just take a look and see if there's any issues. Like I said, this is a test site, so it may not show true live data, but it just gives you an idea. You can actually drill down and investigate from the map view. Over here, it just shows you the overall. 4 sites need attention, 3 investigate, 12 sites are displaying normal. You can also do a satellite view from here, an overall satellite view. Get rid of this site here. The next view we're going to show you is the system list view. So the system list, this is kind of the same view you see currently in Enlighten Manager. In this view, you can also add specific columns if you want to add different columns. Like for instance, if you want to see installer name, you can actually add an installer name column. If you want to search from within each of these, you could search for by system name, system ID. You can also search for energy produced if you want to see what sites are producing the most energy, for example. So there's different search functions within this system list also. So next we're going to go ahead and go to kiosk settings. So the kiosk settings, basically it gives you an overall view. For marketing purposes, this will highlight benefits of solar energy to your customers. So you can actually choose what specific sites you would like to view in the kiosk by clicking and choosing. And I've chosen these 3 sites. You can also delete and add those sites. You can actually delete and add sites as well. You could choose a logo, upload a logo. You could display time for each slide. So you could go from 10 seconds all the way to 120 seconds. We have it currently set up for 10 seconds. You could do scroll animation or user zoom and pan. Preferred usually is scroll animation, but I'll show you what that looks like. You could also choose energy production graph period, yearly, monthly, and daily. Number of years in production graph, you could choose 2 years to 10 years. We currently kind of have it set up in the middle here, 8 years. You can also add new profiles. So right now we have Enphase, just Enphase profile. You can add additional profiles if you want to have different views of different kiosks, but currently we have one view here set up. So once you choose all the information, you could click Save, and then I'll click Preview, and I'll show you what the kiosk view looks like. So it shows overall fleet achievement of all the sites, lifetime energy generated, what's generated this month, generated this year, the environmental impact. So it'll show the carbon offset, the trees saved, the off the road, cars off the road for a year, overall production graph. So we have it set for 8 years currently. And it'll scroll in between each picture and it'll show you the different sites. Actually, let me show you on here. I'm sorry, I forgot to show you how to upload a photo. Under selected systems, you can upload site imagery. So for example, let's go and choose this. Done. Preview. There we go. It'll show a picture for each site. So it'll show the overall map of where the sites are located, and it'll scroll in between and show you the site imagery for each site. It'll show who is installed by. Currently, we just have it set up as Enphase, but if you want to view each installer that each site's installed by, it'll show. How many microinverters on each site. So with this, it's important the Light Administrator sets up all the site naming conventions that they're set up correctly, so they do show on here. But you can also, if you wanted to change the site names, site to Enphase, you can actually change. So in the view, whatever site name you want to show it, you can actually change the site name up here. And that's kind of overall quick demonstration of the kiosk view. Tony, do you want to take it from here?
So Dorothy, yeah, excellent. Yeah, thank you for doing that. That was an excellent overview of both the fleet management view and kiosk view. I wanted to point out a couple of things about kiosk view. If you can go back out of this screen.
Yes.
To the fleet management screen.
Oh, yes.
So in kiosk settings, as Dorothy mentioned, you can set up, yeah, if you go back to kiosk settings,
okay,
you can set up different profiles. So you can have, a group of systems under each profile. So depending on, where the display put it to show all your systems for, you got to select specific systems you want to display information on for different locations. And the link that you are going to use to display is generated when you click on preview, which is what Dorothy was doing when she was showing us what this specific profile is going to look like.
Yes.
So that URL up there is the link. Now, in order for this to be displayed, the person, or I should say the entity or business that's logged in is the one that is allowed to display this link. So I just wanted to be clear that it's the end user or could have to generate these, and they may need your assistance or an Enphase customer success specialist assistance with setting this up. But basically, they would be logged into their installer or Enlighten Manager, and then they would set up these different profiles for displaying the kiosk views, and then that would allow them to use this URL within their own internal system. But that's getting a little bit more technical into the setup of these things. These installation and setup details will all be very clearly laid out in PDF user manuals, basically. And again, we'll always be here to support you and helping you get these different features set up for your systems and your companies. So a couple of questions did come in, one from John. And this is a great question. He said, is there any way to add videos to Kiosk View? This is, I know a lot of solar companies have drummers that allow them to beautiful videos, from a bird's eye view looking down on their systems. Dorothy, do you happen to know if that is something that we're considering for future iterations?
I am not sure. We would have to ask that question. That is a great note though, but currently it is pictures. I know currently it is just a JPEG, I believe. We will definitely bring that up and see if that's something that we can add in the future.
All right, great. So that's feedback that we'll pass on to the team that's developing these tools. Question from Jacob. So the kiosk view is meant to give highlights of individual systems, similar to how the app display shows the environmental effects like trees saved, etc. So yes, Jacob, it does display this very similar information to the Enphase system owner app, but again, the purpose is to create a display that would be installed in like the lobby of a business, so that people walking around that lobby or passing by can look at this display and see not just information about one system, but see information about all the systems that are owned by this company. And as you can see on the display here, it gives you an overall view of all the systems in terms of energy produced over time. And then it'll scroll one at a time through individual systems. So it's a combination of the overall view plus individual sites. And another question from Jacob. Can I set up a kiosk view, or can I set up a kiosk for my sales reps to use as long as they all have the same URL link? Or do they have to log into their accounts and create a kiosk view? Dorothy, do you happen to know the answer to that question? I think these kinds of like setup questions we'll probably have to address one-on-one.
Yeah, I think we'll have to. Yeah, I think we'll have to address it. I believe they can use that same link, but we definitely will confirm that. We will have to confirm that.
Yeah, my understanding is that the link is generated by whoever's logged in. That link is used on a different computer or whatever, that the company that created the link would have to be logged in.
Yeah, we'll have to confirm that information. I'm not positive on that one.
So a similar question from Luis came in. If we give access to salesmen, will they have access to the installation information or just the kiosk? So I think you might be asking about perhaps having salesmen set up and provide the kiosk view for their customers. So again, I think we're going to probably do a follow-up training webinar once these features are rolled out to all customers, so that we can be a little bit more specific with how to set up these features. So it's at this early stage, it's kind of a sneak preview of things that will be coming soon. All right, so Dorothy, your screen is still displayed there. So I'm going to take back control here and then bring back the webinar. All right, just hang on a moment here. All right, so I wanted to move on now to a couple other related items. So I wanted to share a couple of enhancements that have been made to the Enphase app, which if you're in one of the app stores, Apple or Android, it's referred to, or it's named the Enphase Enlighten app. So if you haven't actually used this, many of you are installers but may not be system owners, you might not have seen the developments that we've made over the past year or so. It includes a really cool live status infographic view, which will tell you exactly what the system is doing at that moment in time in terms of power moving between the solar system and the loads and the utility, etc. That's displayed on the left here. It also has a new custom report option where you can get detailed reports on energy production and energy consumption, as well as details like energy imported and exported to the utility. And you can select the time interval that you want as well to match perhaps what you're getting billed from the utility with like 15-minute time intervals. And we're also currently working on making additional improvements to the Enphase app that are going to be specifically for commercial, like your input on which features you think commercial system owners would be interested in. So please let us know. I'm gonna run a poll here at the end where you can select for multiple choice, but if you have some specific things that you'd like to see available for commercial system owners from a monitoring perspective, we'd love to hear from you. So please email us your input. And briefly wanted to cover something called consumption monitoring. So many of you are probably already familiar with this. Consumption monitoring is an optional feature with Enphase PV systems. It's not required in order for the system to function properly and to produce energy, of course, but it does greatly enhance the monitoring experience for both the installer and the system owner. Now, in order for you to be able to have consumption information in our monitoring, you have to install consumption CTs, or current transformers. They're the physical little devices, the little donut-shaped devices or square-shaped devices that the conductors run through, which measure the electrical current. And that essentially allows us to display detailed consumption information. So here I've got an example of what the monitoring looks like if you do not have consumption CTs installed. There's no consumption data. You can see it's very simplistic. You see production information, you see environmental impact, and on the energy tab where you have the graphs, you can see basically energy production only for either today or yesterday or different time periods that you select. Now, the next slide here is what you can see if you have consumption CTs installed. So now you can see, instead of just numbers, we have this cool infographic that displays energy imported and exported to the utility, energy consumption, as well as production, of course. You can also see additional details like grid independence or grid dependence. This gives a customer an idea of how much of the solar energy produced on site is actually being used directly in the building as opposed to being exported to the utility. And on a related note, you can see net energy imported here at the bottom as well. That's all in the status tab. If you go to the energy tab, you can see the graph here has a lot more information because you can select to view both energy production and consumption. And for further detail, you can select imported/exported. So this will give you and your customers a much more detailed view of what their system is doing and how their energy production of their solar system relates to the energy consumption of the property. So we know that installing consumption CTs can sometimes be a challenge depending on what kind of electrical equipment there is on site. Some companies, it's normal for them to not include it. We just want to put it out there that we would encourage you to install consumption CTs on your sites, whether they're commercial or residential, if it's possible, to have that additional information. Another benefit of having that information available is that customers' energy consumption profiles or habits oftentimes change after solar is installed. So if you have consumption data, that can be really useful when you're communicating with customers about how how their system is offsetting their energy consumption as well as their energy bills, and how how changes in their energy consumption from before solar to after having solar can have an impact on what the system is essentially saving them in terms of financial benefit. Here we have some valuable commercial and industrial solar resources, these available through the Enphase website in many cases. If you would like to reach out to a customer success specialist like Dorothy for assistance with setting up Kiosk View, for example, or getting to know how to use the Enphase dashboard better, feel free to reach out to us by sending an email to customersuccess@enphaseenergy.com. If you're interested in learning more about Enphase commercial solar solutions, reach out to us at commercial@enphase.com. We have a page on our website that's dedicated to the commercial solar solutions that we're coming out with later this year, called IQ8 Commercial. There are 2 microinverters that are in that IQ8 commercial category that are designed for 3-phase commercial applications. They're high power devices capable of handling the highest power output modules on the market today. So again, please reach out to us for more information at commercial@enphase.com if you'd like to learn more about commercial solutions, or visit the IQ8 commercial webpage as well. We also have a BOM calculator available at this URL and a training video. So this is particularly useful. We can enter basically a few details about the project, and it'll generate a bill of materials that'll specifically call out exactly how many microinverters and different components you would need for a complete system. We also have a module compatibility calculator here as well. So if you're trying to figure out which microinverter is the best match, or at a very minimum compatible with the electrical characteristics of your solar modules, you can go to this calculator and you can select from a dropdown, or you can enter the specs of that solar module separately, and it'll tell you which microinverters from Enphase are compatible. And the last link here is just a link to frequently asked questions about the IQ8 commercial solution that we're developing that will be coming out later this year. Okay, now I'm going to launch a few poll questions here. These questions are just going to pop up on your screen, and you can select the right answer right there from the screen. Just click on the answers. So the first poll question is, which system monitoring features are most important to commercial customers in your opinion? So select one or more of the following answers. We've got the first one being cost savings or economic value from solar. The second is energy consumption offset or value from solar. And the third would be environmental benefits from solar. So I can see the poll answers coming in. It's an interesting spread. It really is heavily in favor of cost savings, economic value. That's not a surprise for commercial customers. That's an 80% response, and about half have voted for energy consumption, and about 15% have said environmental benefits are also important. Great, thanks for doing that. I'm going to close that one and then launch the next one here. Okay, the next poll question is, which additional resources help commercial customers gain the most value from solar system monitoring and performance? And I've got three options here. Graphs displayed in the Enphase app, graphs displayed in kiosk displays, and summary reports in the Enphase app. So here you can select, one or multiple. All right, this is interesting, not quite what I expected to see. So I'm getting a large percentage saying that summary reports in the Enphase app are additional resources that you'd like to see, with about 30% voting for graphs shown in Enphase app and graphs shown in kiosk displays. That's very interesting. Thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to close that poll now, and then we'll go to the third of four. So currently the Kiosk View is in beta testing. So it's actually not available to very many customers. We are interested in having more beta participants. So probably most of you are installers. Some of you work for the asset owners though. But regardless, if you're interested in being part of the beta program for Kiosk View, please select either yes, no, or maybe here, and we'll reach out to you using the contact information you used when you signed up for the webinar to work with you on getting you part of that program. And we really appreciate you volunteering your customers, that is, to be part of the Kiosk View. The goal is to help them set up a kiosk display, again, in their business, lobby, or other high traffic area. All right, so I'm going to close that. And on a similar topic, early access to fleet management. So as I mentioned before, the new fleet management dashboard hasn't been rolled out to all customers yet. That's going to be a phased roll over the next month or so. If you're interested in having early access to the fleet management dashboard, just respond yes to this poll question. And again, we'll reach out to you by email with the contact information you submitted when you signed up to help you get set up there. All right, I'm going to close that poll. And again, just next steps, I've basically already said this, but here is the email address to reach out to a customer success specialist to learn more about the new fleet management dashboard in Kiosk View and potentially get set up as an early access, to get early access of fleet management, or to volunteer your customer to be part of the Kiosk View beta. So again, we really appreciate you willingness to be part of these new offerings that we have. Okay, so we had quite a few questions that came in while we're doing the live demo here. It looks like many of these questions were answered as well, so appreciate that from the Enphase team. So somebody, Sarah, asked, we'll be reviewing how to set up sites on this new platform, and what we'll do is we'll set up individual meetings. So if you need more instruction or would like specific instruction on how to set this up, we can set up an individual meeting. So please send us an email to customer success at Enphase Energy, and we'll set that up with you. And a question from John. In the fleet dashboard, could you show an example of viewing battery systems in an outage scenario? For example, preparation for a known outage and needing to monitor all battery systems and their statuses. So that, I don't know if we can go back to doing the live demo, but basically that's something that you could select when you apply filters. You can select only to display systems that have batteries, or perhaps only a system controller, because that would be a required component for any sort of backup power configurations. And I know that one of the additional data points you can select is the charge status or state of charge of the batteries as well. So that can be useful if you want to get a quick view of all of your customers that have battery systems that are below a certain state of charge, say below 50%, for example. And if there's a power outage that's imminent, you can contact them and help them just get prepared for that outage by getting their battery fully charged. Similar question from John, a related question, can you select grid on or off in the outage scenario? So I'm not sure about that, John. If you can, as far as filtering out systems, if you can filter by the status of whether they're connected to or disconnected from the grid, we'll have to look into that and respond to you by email. So a technical question from Mel, how do you install consumption when the meter is not near the envoy? Consumption CTs, they come with pretty long wires, and they can be extended to be quite long, I think as long as 200 feet or even longer, with minimal impact to the accuracy of those meters. So yeah, you would simply just extend the wires. We don't have a wireless consumption CT solution, if that's what you were kind of getting at. It does actually have to be wired. All right, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time and your interest in our commercial solutions here. Have a great day. Take care.